Not trading will make you a millionaire trader. Listen guys, success requires effort. And for the most part, that applies in every single business that you've ever learned before. When you're in university, you're trying to work hard to get good grades, and success will come from hard work. It will come from having a good work ethic and doing more hours to learn that degree, for example. Or if you have another business, success will come from working and doing more hours on that business. Or if you are learning how to drive, or if you're learning how to become a cook, whatever you do, success will come from working harder. But what a lot of people fail to understand is that with trading, it's actually the opposite. With trading, success, it comes from knowing when not to do something. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that a lot of you watching this video probably think that in order to be successful in trading, you need to actually do more work. But I would actually argue, and many millionaire traders would also argue as well, that success doesn't come from hard work in trading. Success comes from knowing what to avoid doing and doing that. That is how true success will come when it comes to trading. And that's what I'll explain in this video, okay? And the whole purpose of this video is to help you understand that the best traders don't focus on trading every day. They actually focus on avoiding trades as much as they can. They literally don't want to trade. Like, I go onto the charts every day, and my goal is actually to avoid trading completely, because I know that if I can avoid taking a trade, that's a loss that I've avoided. And it means when I do take a win, which will eventually come because there's always going to be setups, that win is going to be more than enough to make me more than enough money to live the life that I need to live. And that is the mindset of a profitable trader. And you need to adapt and get this mindset yourself to become profitable. And this is a gem. This is going to be a gem of a video, because this is something no one ever speaks about. I think I've seen one other video on this, and even that video wasn't actually that detailed. I'm going to try and make this video as detailed as I can about the true importance of why you need to do less in trading, okay? And I mean less in terms of less of everything, okay? Less learning. And I'll go into all of this in detail, but less learning, less backtesting, less demo trading, and also less trading on the charts. Those are, I think, the four most important things that every single person needs to do in order to become profitable in trading. And the first one, which I'll cover right now before I go into the charts, is doing less in terms of your learning, okay? So many traders, they think that you need to learn more, you need to learn another strategy, you need to learn more things to add to your strategy, but it's actually the total opposite. And this video might be very long, because there's so many things you need to do less of, which I've just realized now, to become a trader. But focusing down on that one thing, a big mistake that people make is they think that you need to learn more and add more to your strategy, and that's going to suddenly fix the problems you have in your strategy. But the reality is that the more you add, the more complicated you make the strategy. It doesn't actually improve anything. It just means that you're going to be more confused when you go onto the charts, because every day you're going to look at the charts, and now you're going to be looking for more things. And you're also going to be more confused when you are looking for a trade, because the more you know, and I'm looking at the charts right here, the more you know, and the more different confluences and strategies you have in your head, the more confused you'll be when it goes to taking a trade. Because, for example, if you're trading my Asia range strategy, but you also know another strategy for trend lines or for ICT or for whatever else it might be, when you go and take that trade, you're going to be basically contradicting yourself in your brain, because now you're not sure what trade to take, because all of the different strategies in your head. And this is just one of the first things that you need to do less of in order to become profitable, okay? And this is have less bad information, and in fact get rid of this information as much as you can, and make your strategy more simple, so that when you're on the charts, it's literally as simple as just, okay, do I see this, and this? 4 things, 5 things. Do I see those? And if I don't see all of those things, done. That's it. You just leave it and you just wait for the next day. But so many people are not able to do that because they don't have good discipline. They don't understand that this is even an issue in the first place, and no one tells them how to fix it. So this might be a long video, but this video will help somebody. So let's get into it. Here's the thing, guys. There's going to be a bunch of trades in your current strategy that are making you unprofitable. And if you actually just got rid of them, you would be profitable. Okay, and this is the most important thing that you will get out of this video, is that your strategy actually isn't the problem. So many people think that their strategy is the issue. They need to change their strategy. They need to do more to make more money. And this is going to get very, very, very valuable here, because there's so much that you will learn in this video, right? Your strategy is not the problem. Your problem is that you're focused on trading your strategy so much that you're losing days from the strategy, make you think the strategy doesn't work. But if you can just avoid those losing days, take them out, and only trade the winning days, then guess what? Your strategy would work. And all of a sudden, all of your problems would be gone. And now you wouldn't be questioning the strategy. In fact, you love the strategy and your life would be amazing, okay? So you just have to get rid of those days by doing less. And when I say less, I also mean less on the charts, right? Like I said less learning at the beginning, but now going on to point number 2, actual implementation of what I mean by this on the charts is going to be taking less trades. And to do this, I want to give you some sort of diagram, which I'm going to draw out right here. It's not going to be the most impressive diagram. It's going to be, to be honest, quite messy, but let's see if we can do this, okay? So every single day that you're taking a trade, every day of the week, there's going to be different setups that become available. Let me do this again, okay? And bear with me, because it all makes sense in a second, but let's imagine here that this is how the weeks look, right? Imagine this is like 1 month of days in the week, and I'm going to make it a bit more clear about what I mean. So I've drew out this diagram here, and this effectively shows you 3 different weeks that there are going to be trades to take, okay? So you've obviously got Monday to Friday, that is your trading window. You have 5 days a week to trade. Now, out of those 5 days, let me ask you a question, and I'm speaking obviously to the camera here, but how many days do you actually think there's going to be a Class A position? The answer is 1, maybe 2. Okay, and that would go for every strategy. There's never going to be a Class A position every day. And this is the problem that a lot of people face, is they think there has to be a Class A position every day, but there actually doesn't at all. And in thinking that there needs to be one, you're going to end up forcing trades on days where there was no strategy, there was no trade. And if you had just avoided that, the next day when there is a Class A position, you would have the confidence to actually take that trade. But because you take the loss, for example, let's say on Monday, you take a loss here, right? This is going to be a losing day on Monday, which, by the way, you shouldn't have taken, okay? That means on Tuesday, when there was a winning trade, you're now going to lack confidence to take it, and you're going to miss the trade on Tuesday as well. Whereas if you had just avoided Monday and not taken that loss on Monday, Tuesday would have been a win, and now your strategy would have been profitable, okay? But it's taking that loss on Monday, which, by the way, can easily be avoided, because Mondays are just guaranteed to be low probability, because at the start of the week, you have no directional bias, and the best thing to do on a Monday and also a Friday is to simply let price play out and then react to what it's done in the middle of the week, okay? So that can easily be avoided. But if you had avoided that loss on Monday, you would have won on Tuesday, and now the rest of the week, it doesn't actually matter what happens. You could actually just turn off your computer, because now you're profitable for the week. And that's the only thing that matters. Don't try and make money every day, okay? Because the best traders, the millionaire traders, they trade less and they make more than you, who is trading every day. And there's a reason for that. It's because they understand that the key to success in trading is literally doing the opposite of what I guarantee you're doing right now, okay? And in order to become a successful trader, you need to do that as well. And it's only going to come through actually looking at your data and understanding what days are losing based on your strategy, which will only come through journaling. And it's something only you can do yourself, because no one will trade exactly like you, okay? Even if you trade the same strategy as me, there's no guarantee at all that we're going to have the same win rate. And in fact, we never will, because everyone's strategy, even if it might be the same, your psychology will determine the trades you take, which determines everyone's individual win rate, okay? So everyone's totally different, and the only way you can actually work out this and work out which days are likely to lose for you and likely to win is through backtesting and actually doing some work yourself, right? But anyway, going back to what I was saying, if you have an unnecessary loss on Monday, that now means you've missed the Tuesday trade, when that one actually should have won. And now because you've missed this trade, which won, but you missed it, you're probably now going to go and force a trade the next day on Wednesday. And guess what? There was no trade on Wednesday and you shouldn't have taken the trade on Wednesday. But the reason you took it is because you took a loss on Monday, you missed Tuesday's win, okay? And now you forced the trade on Wednesday because you have FOMO. And do you see like how important it is to avoid your losing days? Because having a losing day literally impacts your trading ability for the rest of the week. And it's literally a game changer. If you can avoid that loss on Monday right here and turn that into a missed trade or a no trade day, you are now profitable for the week. And now the strategy works all of a sudden because you've avoided one loss. One loss in trading can change the trajectory of your profitability for the rest of your life. And it sounds crazy, but that is literally how true it is. Because everything is evolved around emotion. And the only way to really become the best trader possible is to reduce your emotion on the charts, which will come from trading less, because the less you expose yourself to more trades, the less it's going to be impacting your emotion and your discipline, and then you're going to be more profitable on the winning days because you're not going to have been affected by a loss on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, okay? Now, hopefully this makes sense, and it's so important. So I'm going to actually skip forward because this week, right, we've gone over this week, but now let's go to what you really should be doing and how you can actually see proper results on a good week, okay? So let's say the same example again. Let's say that Monday was a no trade day, okay? So we actually skip Monday. We actually have good patience now and understand that Monday is probably not going to be a winning day. There was no setup and we're going to leave it. Now, let's say again, the same thing on Tuesday. Let's say as well there is maybe no trade on Tuesday, okay? But let's say the winning trade has now come on Wednesday. Now, we have the confidence to take this trade here, and this trade ends up winning, making us $3,000 because we've missed the Monday trading window and we've avoided the Tuesday window as well. So now when the Wednesday window comes around and there's actually a trade that is worth taking, we have the confidence to take this trade, and therefore we now win. And we don't need to trade Friday or Thursday because we've now taken the win on Wednesday. Okay? So yeah, that's literally it. Like avoiding those losses and trading less is how you can actually win more because now your psychology isn't impacted as much. And this is like crucial to profitability. Like this is like seriously really important stuff here because people think as well that, and this is another thing, that people think those losses, for example, at the start of the week here, right? That loss on Monday, people are so confident that every single day there's a win that they'll keep on losing and losing and losing and losing. On Monday, for example, trying to catch the win. But there's going to be days, guys, where there is just no win for your strategy. And if you can't accept that, if you can't accept that some days are not worth trading, then you're always going to be losing because you're always going to be trying to fight and find a winning trade when there's nothing there. And you can't do that. As a trader, you just can't do that. You need to accept defeat sometimes. You need to accept that, you know, there is no opportunity, and that is fine, okay? And that's only going to come from truly understanding your strategy and truly understanding the days that are less likely to win, okay? And for me personally, this, like I said, is Monday and Friday. I just know, based on my strategy and based on the data I've collected, that Monday and Friday, they are just unlikely to win, and therefore I just don't trade them, okay? It's very, very simple. And a lot of people would probably have an issue in doing that, but there's not an issue at all because I understand there's always going to be trades, and some weeks I'll go without trading. I've gone without trading for like a month one time, right? And that didn't really matter because I know there's always going to be a trade the next month. And I think that mindset as well is also really important to implement because you need to understand that the markets aren't going anywhere, okay? And you trying to force a trade to make money every single day is the reason why you're going to keep losing money every single day, okay? So yeah, hopefully this makes sense. I'm trying to think of another example. We can just repeat the same thing, I guess, for the next week, okay? So let's say on Monday, right, we know not to trade Monday now because Mondays just are a no trade day. maybe there's a setup on Tuesday, right? But let's say on Tuesday we happen to miss the setup, right? Imagine, we're looking for an entry here, but price just goes without us, okay? This is a day where there was a winning trade here, okay, but we missed it. So this is really, really important, and this is actually this is expert advice here. This is advice that no one's ever going to tell you. Because you've missed the trade on Tuesday, this does not mean that there has to be a trade on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, because you have missed the winning trade of the week. This is your fault, and you need to understand here that because you've missed this trade on Tuesday, right, because you've missed this winning trade here, which should have won, you need to now have the patience to not trade for the rest of the week. Because the likelihood is, at least for my strategy, right, that you have one winning trade a week. And if that happened to be on Tuesday, but you missed that trade on Tuesday, that means you have to leave it until next week, because that's your fault. You've missed the trade on Tuesday, and to now go and try and force a trade on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday is purely just FOMO. Okay, but in this situation, what you should do now is accept defeat and accept the fact that you've missed the winning trade of the week, and you just have to call it a break-even week. Sometimes that is exactly what I do, okay? Sometimes I'll miss a trade which I know I should have taken, but I accept it and I think, you know what? That's probably the winning trade for the week, and all I can do now is literally just leave it and wait for next week, because I know if I go and now trade on Wednesday, I'm probably going to want to win because I've missed the winning trade on Tuesday. So sometimes, guys, the best thing to do if you do miss a trade is simply to just leave it. And you guys can see there's a common pattern here. The pattern is never to trade more. Every single scenario that I've gone over, these 3 different scenarios right here, the best move on the board is simply to just do nothing. And that is why trading is so difficult, because like I said at the start of the video in the introduction, we've been taught as human beings throughout growing up, right, throughout your entire childhood, that you need to work harder to make more money. You need to do more stuff to see better return. Doing more will result in more coming back to you, right? But it's actually the complete opposite in trading. And you guys can hopefully learn a lot from this video. And hopefully you have. And by the way, if you have, let me know in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe, okay? Because I'm dropping gems like these 3 times a week to make you guys profitable, okay? If you watch all these videos, you're going to eventually be profitable. I seriously don't see a world where if you implement everything I tell you to do and actually do it, you won't be profitable. I find it hard to believe. Yes, it's going to take time, but in the long run, you will make it, okay? I can guarantee you. If you've sat through this video so far and you've watched my other 2 videos on this channel, then you're doing something right, okay? And if you haven't, after this video, go and watch them because they're important. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, the best thing to do in trading is always to do less. Never, ever, ever try and do more, because that can just result in you overtrading, having FOMO, being greedy, and basically ruining your profitability for the week and sometimes even for the entire month. So now let's go on to the final week right here. So this is week number 4. Let's say actually this is the final week of the month. Based on my backtesting, based on my personal data, I know as well that just like how at the start of the week, Monday, and also the end of the week, Friday, are likely to be low quality trades, I know the exact same thing is just as likely for the first week of the month and the final week of the month as well. And this is just yet again another gem. Like seriously, this video has been so valuable, okay? So like I was saying, I know that the first week of the month and the last week of the month are likely to be low probability. So I would already know coming into this week right here, right? I'm going to highlight it like this. Coming into this week, because it's the last week of the month, I would already know that I'm unlikely to trade this week because it's the last week of the month, and based on my data that I've collected for my strategy, this is less likely to win, okay? And there's reasons for this, which I'll cover in later videos. But essentially, I would already know that going into this week, I'm not going to be looking to trade, or if I do trade, I want to see every single confluence met. And I want to make sure that the trade I take is literally hands down a perfect position. And there still will be winning trades in this week, you know, but it's just about understanding that based on the week of the month, it automatically makes it less likely to win, and therefore you have to go into a trade with ultra confidence. Because if you don't, and if, for example, let's say there's a trade on Tuesday, but it's only like, you're only like 50% confident, okay? It's not worth taking that, because you already know that you're in the last week of the month, and you already know based on that it's unlikely to win. So when you are going for a trade, you can't just be 50% confident, especially on the last week of the month, right? You need to be 100% confident. So what I would do in this situation is, we don't trade Monday, 50% confidence on Tuesday, so we're not going to trade that either because we know it's the last week of the month and it's not worth taking. But let's say maybe on Thursday, right, there's a setup where we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different confluences met. Even though it's in the last week of the month, which is low probability to win, I'm still going to take this trade here, okay? Because the higher time frame makes sense and we've seen all of our confluences met. It's worth taking that trade, okay? And that's just one final example so that you guys can really learn from that as well. And yeah, hopefully that has made sense, okay? There's a lot of detail into this video. And I personally have actually this video has been sick, okay? This video has actually been sick and hopefully you guys have learned something. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I should mention here before I end the video. But essentially, guys, you need to find this information out for yourself, right? Obviously, for my strategy, I know which days are likely to win and lose. And for your strategy, it might be totally different. But what I would advise doing is, doing this yourself, having a look at your data, actually journaling your trades, collecting the data for your strategy and finding out which days are less likely to win than others. And if, for example, it happens to be a Thursday, right? A Thursday every week that is unlikely to win, then simply just cut that out and don't take that trade on Thursday, okay? And in doing so, you automatically will become more profitable. It's like a guaranteed fix that avoiding that Thursday loss that might be there for your strategy is guaranteed to make you more profitable. Like, how can it not make you more profitable? If you can find one day of the week, one day out of the 5, to completely take out of your trading, right? There's only upside potential for that. Yes, of course, sometimes there might happen to be that day where there happens to be a winning trade on the Thursday, right? Which normally there isn't. But overall, in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, if you can take out that day which you know overall is less likely to win, it's going to increase your profitability massively. And you're going to be that one step closer to becoming a profitable trader. So my final piece of advice before I wrap up the video, because I always want to try to keep my videos under 20 minutes. That's something I'm going to try to do, just so that every single video people don't, get bored, because I understand people will get bored. But yeah, one final thing I would say, and one thing everyone should do right now, is journal your trades for the last 30 days and see, is there a recurring pattern? Is there a day where I lose and lose and lose and lose every single day, right? Every single time that day comes around. And if there is, the simple fix is to get rid of that, okay? Because like the title of the video says, the way to become a millionaire trader is by doing less work. And that is exactly what you need to do. So hopefully you guys have learned something from this video. Make sure to subscribe. And guys, I will see you on the next one. Bosh!